Today, I'm gonna give you 10 tips on how to make your Korea trip awesome.
3!
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Empathetic Wanderers. My name is Jeff, and on this channel, I give you ways to deepen your travel experience, access otherwise inaccessible situations and foods and places. And while I was living in Korea for the past couple months, I currently live in Tokyo, Japan, but while I was living in Korea the past couple months, I came up with a number of ways to deepen my travel experience and really access different parts of South Korea that I had never accessed before. I think this was my 5th time that I had been to Korea, and there were a bunch of things that really helped make my experience better. So I came up with 10 ways that I felt like that you can do the same when you go to Korea. And so if you like Korea content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button, as I put out content every single week, and I don't want you to miss any of that. If you also want to check out, I have a playlist on South Korea to check out any of the other videos that I've been putting out in the past, but I filmed a lot while I was in Korea, so even though I live in Japan, I will still be putting out vlogs, food vlogs, and the like on Korea, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. But let's get to the video. All right, so tip number 1 is going to be public transportation. Never take a taxi. Never take a taxi, never take an Uber. In Korea they don't have Uber, but definitely consider bus transportation. And I say this for 2 reasons. Metros are not terribly expensive, but buses go so many other places. Like, the metro is definitely effective and there's no traffic, but and they're very nice metros, but the bus is cheaper, and also they just go to like a lot of different places that I don't think I would ever have gone if I was only taking I actually know that I would never have gone because I would only be taking the metro before this. And so when I went most recently, I was taking a bus mostly because near my Airbnb there was like a bus station, and so it was just really easy once I got used to it. But I know that it can be a little bit stressful, not knowing where to get off, and things are all in Korean. So definitely make sure that you have your kind of like plan figured out before you get to the metro. Before you get to the bus. The way that you're definitely going to want to do that too is not to use cash, but go into a convenience store. This is kind of like number 2. Go into a convenience store and get what's called a T-Money card. It's basically like a rechargeable card that you can use for any public transportation in Seoul or in Korea. And it makes it a little bit less expensive. It's not like a huge price difference, but it definitely does make it a little bit less expensive, and it makes it a lot easier to get on the bus or get on the metro. You don't have to go and buy a ticket. You don't have to try and figure out how to say the destination you're going to, and like figure out how much money you're supposed to. You just tap the card on the machine that says T-Money card. So the next tip is going to be obviously get Wi-Fi. Get Wi-Fi. If you haven't seen my video on getting a SIM card in Korea, definitely check it out. I'll put a link. I always forget. I think it's here. But I'll put a link either here or here to my video on getting a SIM card in Korea. I would definitely recommend going to a convenience store in Itaewon. Itaewon is like the foreign-centric area, and convenience stores often have unlimited data SIM cards that are like 35 US dollars, I think, 34 US dollars for like 10 days or something like that. But that helps a lot. The next tip, going off of the last one, is make sure you download an app called Naver. So one thing that not many people know is that Google Maps is actually not usable in South Korea. You can technically open the app and see like the general area, but you can't click on anything, and sometimes the timing is off. Basically, South Korea has decided that Google Maps is like a national security concern and they don't want it to be used. So what they do is they use Naver, which is like a South Korean version of Google Maps. And so that is super helpful because it will tell you every bus to take, where to get off. It says it in English and in Korean, which is super helpful if you're looking at like a map or you're looking at like the sign on the bus or something like that. But definitely download Naver. And even if you don't have Wi-Fi, you can just do Naver when you're in your Airbnb on Wi-Fi, and you'll still be able to see yourself. Like the GPS will still track you. The next tip would just be make sure you like get out of the major foreigner districts. So like if you're in Gangnam or you're in Itaewon or you're in Hongdae or you're in even like Myeongdong, like these big areas that lots of tourists go to. I mean, go to them, they're awesome places, but definitely try and get outside of them. If you've seen any of my content from Korea, you'll know that I was staying a bit farther out. I was in like a kind of random neighborhood, and it was really cool. I mean, it was really awesome from a food perspective and from a language perspective. Like I really felt like I was kind of in everyday life. It was tough sometimes. Obviously, it's nice sometimes when you're able to speak English, but I didn't really plan to go to Korea to like feel super comfortable linguistically. So it was important for me to do that. So even if you do end up staying in Itaewon or some of the more foreign-centric areas that have a lot of English spoken, be sure you try and check out some of the other places, because there's a lot of good food and there's a lot of great experiences that you'll miss out on if you don't do that. Regardless of where you are, if you walk by a Starbucks, they may not all speak English, but there's probably going to be one person that speaks enough English to communicate with you. The same is true of any like Western chains, so Subway or McDonald's and stuff like that. So if you really need something, then you can check those out, but just check out other districts, check out other places. And on top of that, leave Seoul. One of the things I am so excited to do when I get back, and I did a little bit while I was there in South Korea for a couple months, is take the public transportation to different cities. There are so many cool cities. There's Daejeon, there's Jeonju, there's Gyeongju, there's Pohang, there's Sokcho, there's I'm forgetting a million, but there's so many cities outside of these big cities, and they're really easy to get to. You just go to a bus terminal, order a ticket. The tickets are quite cheap, and you can get to places in like an hour, because South Korea is such a small place that it's really easy to get around and it's really easy to get back. When I was down in Busan, which is obviously a really big city as well, down in South Korea, I took an hour trip to Gyeongju, which is like a really old city that has a lot of history and tradition. I did it all in one day. It was super easy. It was like $10 or something like that round trip. And it just made for a cool little like side trip, and I got to see a different part of Korea that I hadn't seen before. There's a lot of different cities that are like very well known for certain dishes. So like Busan in particular has a like very, very endemic food culture that you can't really find anywhere else. And so I would definitely recommend finding some other places to go. There's Daegu, Pohang is on the water, Sokcho is on the water, Gyeongju is like kind of near the water, Ulsan is near the water, Jeju is an island. It's off the coast of South Korea. I've never been there. I really want to go there, but if you go there, you need a car. So that's good to know. The next part would just be learn a little bit of Korean. You would be surprised how that there is not as much English as you would think that there would be. Obviously, in the more foreign-centric areas, there's a lot of English, but it definitely makes things a lot easier if you even just speak a little bit of Korean, both from like a technical perspective of like getting things done and making sure that you're heard and whatever, but also just from like a respectful standpoint. Like I think people really enjoy it. Every time that my Korean is not great, but every time that I would try, I think it made people open up a bit more and they enjoyed that I was trying. So just learn like some basic like 안녕하세요 is hello, 감사합니다 is thank you, can I have something is whatever you want to eat, 주세요. Like there's just some really easy things that you can learn, 10 phrases that you can learn that make your experience better, your experience easier, and everyone just a little bit happier. Going off that, the next tip would be, if you have the time, I know not everyone does, but if you have the time, try and learn the Korean alphabet. The Korean alphabet is 40 characters long, or 40 characters long. 40 characters long. It is a full phonetic alphabet, but the reason that I say that is because a lot of the restaurants, they don't have names or any name that, well, some of them do, but from the majority that I experienced, they just have the name of the food that they sell on the restaurant. So it makes it really easy. Like if you saw the video on kimchi jjigae, kimchi stew, I'll put it right here. Check it out if you haven't seen it already, but I showed you at the beginning of it, like it just on the front of the restaurant, it just says kimchi jjigae, but it's all obviously in Korean. So it's super helpful for me because while I don't speak Korean well, I do read it. And so I'm able to find different places and different types of food that I might not otherwise have been able to find. Going off of that, one important thing to know, I'm gonna plug my own video again, check out my video on 닭갈비. 닭갈비 is like it's kind of like a hangover food. It's like cheese and chicken and veggies and gochujang sauce, like a spicy sauce, and you share it with people, and it's kind of like what people do after like a long day or like a long night. But one thing to know is that any of the restaurants that are barbecue style, or like you'll see a lot of restaurants in Korea where there's a hot plate in the middle of the table, they often have a minimum amount of people that have to be at the restaurant in one party in order to sit down at the restaurant. It's always just 2 people, so there has to be 2 people at least in order to eat food at the place. The places that I went where there was a 2-person minimum and I was just going by myself would always suggest that I could take the food home, but they won't let me sit at the restaurant. I'm not sure why this is, but it's just something important to know, that if you're trying to go to Korean barbecue and you're staying at a hostel, like ask someone else just to go with you, because there's a good chance that you're not going to be able to go unless you have 2 people or more. And then the last 2 are just going to be transportation, kind of like no-nos, or transportation like what you should or shouldn't do. One thing is, you will notice when you get on a metro in Korea, they are silent. No one talks. They are so quiet. So just be aware of that. Don't be talking too loud. You'll attract unwanted attention. No one will likely say anything to you, but people are going, to work and leaving work, or it's kind of, I think, a lot of people's like quiet time. And so, definitely don't talk on the phone while you're on the metro, but just be aware of kind of the noise level. And on top of that, once you get out of the metro, make sure that if you're taking an escalator, that you stay on the right-hand side. It's very important that you stay on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is for walking up. The right-hand side is for standing. So just be aware of that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found that helpful. There's obviously more things than just 10 tips, so let me know in the comments below if you'd like to hear more. Let me know if there was anything that I missed or anything that was unclear. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the Korea content that I'm coming out with in the future. But also check out my South Korea playlist so that you can catch up on all of the other videos that I have put out in the past. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Let's just keep being empathetic. Let's keep wandering. Let's keep spreading positivity. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.